All right, welcome into Catching Up with Tommy Mac podcast here on 1010XL's podcast platform at 1010XL.com. 1010XL app, of course. We are live on Facebook, 1010's page, my page. It'll be shared all throughout social media, all throughout other platforms where you listen and watch your favorite podcasts. Brought to you by Team Tommy Mac. Of course, some awesome local businesses that I trust, man, and you should trust them too. We'll talk about them. Lots to get into, of course. It is Friday. Getting ready for Wild Card Weekend. I know it still stings. I know it still hurts. But we got to move on. You know, we got a new opening as a defense coordinator. We'll talk about that, what kind of coordinator we should bring in. We'll talk about the coaching carousel that's going on right now as far as the big-time names that are out, Belichick and Carroll included. There are 8 new openings this year for head coaching spots in the National Football League, and you got to wonder by how maybe even Philly finishes, will there be a 9th? You know what I mean? They're talking about if Sirianni doesn't get it going in the playoffs, he may be out too. It is a what have you done for me lately type league. It always will be. You're seeing it across the board. Look what the Bears did. Keep the coach, fire a ton of other offensive coaches, you know, and it's coming from the GM. So you're not going to see that here other than what we've seen already. I think they're done on the firing front. But before we get into it, let's say hello to Grammage, my esteemed producer. What's up, Grammage?
Happy Friday, sir. How we doing?
Happy Friday. I'm great, man. Got a Dad Bods gig tonight out at Iggy's Bar and Grill on the patio. So first show of the year. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a rocking time and take the stages 7 to about 11. So all is good, man. Hangover still hanging around, or how you feeling about going into Wild Card Weekend? Dempsey's like, I'm not going to watch it at all. I'm like, I'm still a fan. I'm watching. I love playoff football. I played in 5 of them, started in 3, including AFC Championship. There's nothing better than playoff football, in my opinion.
And there's such a finite amount of it too. You know, there's not a lot,
and it's one and done. It's sudden death.
I mean, you really
call what you will.
You get really 3 weeks of it.
Yeah.
And then the Super Bowl. Yeah. Which is the Super Bowl is hit or miss sometimes, the actual game. Yep. But I totally agree. Playoff football is amazing. The divisional round's my favorite round, but Wild Card Weekend's probably my second favorite.
Yep.
So I'm going to watch too because I just love ball too much, and it's too good of a weekend to ball.
Yeah. There should be some good games, I think. I don't see many blowouts.
I agree.
I really don't. Maybe Cowboys at home, but I think Green Bay's going to hang tight for a little bit.
It feels like most teams in the playoffs this year actually belong in the playoffs.
Yeah. They earned it.
Yeah.
The Texans earned it.
Right.
We could have earned it. We didn't earn it, but they did.
And
Cleveland, look what Cleveland did without their without Deshaun Watson. Flacco, hey, man, good move. Hey, Joe, what are you doing?
Right.
Hanging out. Let's come throw for us. All right, I will. Be there tomorrow. Next thing you know, he's whipping it around.
Yeah.
Leading them to the playoffs.
I mean, with what Dempsey was saying, like, it'll sting a little bit when I'm watching.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to watch because, again, playoff ball is too good not to watch.
Well, look, every year I say that every year the Super Bowl comes on, it stinks because you get so close. But I still watch it. The year we lost, they 96, especially for me, because I was starting pretty much that whole year after Brian Schwartz got hurt in like week 4. Watching that Super Bowl, Green Bay and New England, that stung. That was wicked hard.
Yeah.
That was, we had just lost.
It's probably even hard to this day to watch like highlights of it.
No, it is. Yeah, because you're like, man, you're so close. And it's so hard to win, not only games, but hard to win in the playoffs. You got to be mistake-free for the most part. So, look, we'll watch them. I got my picks. I'll go through them. I got state of the team. I had Lonnie Martz and Coach Campbell, and, of course, Killer Bees on the Happy Hour show last night out at the Graffiti Burger Bar in Jack's Beach. And, Campbell wasn't that surprised by the firing. I was, but I kind of get it. And I'm not, look, this isn't just what Campbell's saying, but, look, when Doug got the job, he probably didn't get everybody he wanted on his staff. Some guys are under contract. They're under different jobs. You got to find the best you can find. Remember, it took him a little bit to get his staff together. So here comes Mike Caldwell. You like Todd Bowles. You like the way they play defense. You like the way he's going to be aggressive, because not only did he spend time with Todd Bowles, he spent time with the Eagles. He spent time with guys that were aggressive play callers. So you take a chance on a first-time defensive coordinator. It wasn't all bad. I was surprised he got fired. I went through that, but it is what it is. But when you're talking about it in that kind of sense, okay, if there is a time to make a change and get the D coordinator that I want, I'm being Doug, that I've wanted, that I think will really work here, maybe now's the time. We just got off a skid. You know, I'm not saying the offense wasn't at fault. I know they were, but the defense was as well. Guys are out of position too much. Maybe they're not held accountable enough. I'm keeping hearing lack of communication. Listen, I asked both Lonnie and Bees last night. I knew the answer. But the ultimate responsibility of knowing what you're doing out there is on the player, period. We're professionals. We have to know. Doesn't mean the coach doesn't play a part in it, but especially a veteran. You got to know everything, and you should know everything without a doubt. Now, if you're not being held accountable for screw-ups, that's a different story. And if that was the case, I get it. But I think it's more of, hey, man, if I can go out now, and by the way, I want a veteran. I don't want an up-and-comer. I want a proven. And listen, look, call me crazy, but I'd be calling Jack Del Rio. I'd be calling Jack. He may not do it because he's a former head coach. He'd be like, nah, I can't do it. I want to do it. Fine. I kind of get that. But if not, proven defensive coordinator. Wink Martindale, another proven kind of defense coordinator. I take Jack over Wink, in my opinion, right now. But that's what I want. And I don't have the list in front of me, all of them. Listen, this talk that Belichick's going to come here to be our coordinator, you're out of your mind. It's not going to happen. You want him to trump Peterson and bring in Belichick. I mean, Shad Khan seems like he's kind of the only that would do that because it's Bill Belichick. You know, it's like when he hired Urban. It was back then. It was Urban. He's a winner. He's a big name. He's blah blah blah. Look at him. It's a big splash. Well, the difference is Belichick's a proven winner on the NFL level, right? So that's a bigger difference. But I could see that, but I'd be shocked by it. I'm rolling with Doug. I'm rolling with Trevor. I didn't want anybody fired. I just want a better attitude. And I want some better players up front with some more beef. And I don't want this whole crap talk of, you know, it wasn't us or it wasn't them, it was us. Because that's a terrible message. It's always look, you go against the team and you get your ass beat. Are there times you shoot yourself in the foot? Of course there are. Getting blown off the ball is not one of them. Getting my quarterback killed is not one of them. Shutting down my running game is not one. You know what I mean? These are things that have to improve. I know there's talk out there. Trevor's had 3 years. We know what he is. Look, I'm not ready to say that yet. He needs another year. But I've made it very clear. I just said on Jaguars today, if I'm the Jags, if it's my call, I'm not extending him this year. I want him to earn it. I want to see the improvement. He has to improve. It's not all him, but he has to improve. He's got to take those great moments and even those routine throws that are great. By the way, what's one of his best routine throws? Scramage, I'll let you answer. What's one of routine? I'm not talking bombs. I'm not a routine throw. 1, 2, 3, balls out, typically in the right spot.
He throws that out route really well.
Out route. Him and Ridley are deadly with it.
Yeah.
Nobody can cover Ridley. He does make that throw more times than not. Now, against Tennessee, he sailed a few of those. I don't know if that was his shot. I don't know. And he does sail these balls from time to time. But to me, that's one of his better throws. I tell you where he else is really good at. In between the numbers. The outside the numbers, and especially deep, he struggles. He's got to get better at that. Some of his crossing patterns got to be out in front. Got to give it. They are sometimes. They are. I mean, it's not consistent enough. So this talk about replacing Trevor, yada, 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 I'm not down with that at all. He's my guy, but he does have to get better, and he would be the first one to admit that. And I think Doug would too. So, again, we're in kind of a quandary here. Where do we go? What's going to happen? How are we going to get better? How are we going to utilize our personnel better? And I had an idea just on the air. Brenton Strange line. This is what's crazy. Okay, think about this. Last play against Tennessee, where Trevor went rogue and tried to dive over. They had Brenton Strange at tailback, at fullback, Tank Bigsby at tailback. And they were leading. Scherf on his side was just pulling out to kick out, blocking down. Here comes. I think they would have scored, to be honest with you, if they ran the right play. But it got me thinking about Strange, Grammage. I kind of see him potentially in that Juszczyk role, the number 44 for San Fran. Can block when you need him to. He's a real tough guy, but athletic enough to go out and passes because he's not going to replace Ingram yet, right? And he's not big and strong like Farrell. And I like Farrell as a blocker. And occasional getting out. But I think you can, I want to see it. So my point was, last play, the year you have it, all year long you didn't think you're doing that? 3rd and short, 4th and short. There was never a fullback. There was never a fullback. And I know as a former, short yardage goal line, it's one of the easier things to defend. All you really have to do is your D lineman got to get those linemen so they can't get off on you. Your one backer's got to come up and smash the lead blocker if there is one, and you just keep it in between you. Force him to cut back. Should be a free backer. Kabam! He's done. Right? But how do you beat that? Well, you don't get a piece of the lineman. Your fullback does kick the guy out or takes him out of the play, and your back goes free, and the backside backer can't even get there. Or he goes so far over, you just cut it back. So there are ways to combat that. But I'm saying, like, all year long, you don't see that. But then you see it like, so those are head scratchers to me. That's got to get better. The cuteness of the play calling. You know, when you got a drive going and you feel like you got to do an end around. You don't have to get cute. Just keep doing what's working. Get that rhythm going, that offense going. Look, we got a lot to talk about through the offseason and how the offense can be better. But as far as bringing in the right people, I want to see a proven defensive coordinator. I want to see someone that's had success as a defensive coordinator. So we'll see what happens with that. A crazy year or crazy week in the coaches being let go. 3 iconic ones. Belichick totally. Saban totally. Carroll, I don't know if I'd call iconic, but a very good football coach. Been doing it for a long time. How about that? They come in 3s, I guess, huh?
Carroll
pretty wild.
I think Carroll's a better coach than people even realize.
Listen, I'm surprised they let him go.
I think Carroll's a top, if we're talking college and NFL combined.
Yeah.
He's like a top 10, 15 coach of all time.
Could he go to Bama?
Ooh.
You know what? Here's a great thing about Pete Carroll. He had NIL going at SC before it was even thought of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously. He knew what he was doing and got away with it. Today it would be, no problem, right?
Well, he was also...
I'm sorry to cut you off. You're hearing things that he may go up into upper management with Seattle. I don't know. Coach is a coach. I think they want to coach for the most part, but who knows? But he's a guy that could go back to college and be very happy, I would imagine.
He was smart, too, when he was at USC. You can see a lot of coaches that are football guy coaches trying to really subdue the LA part of USC and keep celebrities away and just be a regular football program.
Yep.
He embraced all that.
You got to have that.
He said, Snoop Dogg, come be on the sideline. Let the cameras pan over to you.
Yes.
I want to make my program sexy.
Right.
So that the top players in the country say, I want to go play for those guys.
Right.
And that carried over. Obviously, I think he has, does he have 2 national championships or 1?
Yeah, no, it did. You have to, it's like I'm always surprised when colleges don't embrace the former athlete. Like Miami, you always see like Miami guys on the sideline. They go to practice. They're a part of the whole, culture down there at Miami. Good or bad, right? It was good for a long time. I think you got to embrace that stuff, man. Hell yeah. I know as a former college guy, when the pros came in, it meant something. You know what I mean? Like I remember Mark Stepnowski came in just to work out in our weight room. He played at Pitt. And he was like a rookie or second-year center at Dallas, was one of the better centers in the game. He came in, you're like, oh, man, this is cool. It gets you pumped up, gets you fired up. I forgot about Leslie Frazier. Yeah, I like Frazier.
Frazier, I think, is like the perfect
I think he would be great. Again, it just, It just comes down to that you have to execute. And the offense we know has to execute, but since we're talking defense, you do. Your tackling was bad. That's attitude. Getting blocked, a lot of it's attitude. Not knowing. That's just not putting in the time. And I know a lot of us out there, I battle with you, and I don't battle with you, it's good banter, but you want to blame all the coaches, and they are somewhat to blame, but this isn't college, and it ain't high school. You're a professional. You're supposed to know, and if you don't know, your job is to find out. Your job is to learn it. So if I got to go to the coach and ask him again, I go to another player and be like, hey, man, you mind sitting down and watching this with me and seeing, what's going on and how I can get better? You got to have those things. I don't know. I go back to the brother-in-law, and I think there's some brother-in-law going in that locker room. Hey, man, it's okay. We'll get him next time. And by the way, I'm critical of the head coach and his messaging because, look at Caldwell when he called, oh, no, that's not us. Those were imposters, right? That was a terrible message. It was you. We watched you get your ass whooped. Don't say it wasn't you. And don't tell your players that because guess what they do? Oh, yeah, you know what? He's right. That wasn't us. Oh, I just missed a tackle. That wasn't me. Oh, I just screwed up my coverage and the guy scored a touchdown. Shucks, man. Get him next time.
It instills.
But if I may, real quick, it comes from the head coach because what does he do? We're learning. It's a learning experience. He exudes that kind of. I mean, he'll say, "Hey, we need a sense of urgency," but you don't feel the sense of urgency. You don't see the sense of urgency. So I thought, Caldwell, if there is a critique, I didn't like any of that messaging. You got to hold your guys accountable, especially at the highest level. They have to know everything. I think the effort was there for the most part all year. The physicality was not. Think about this though. On the outside, our backers. You think about safeties had good years. Darius Williams had a really good year. Foye had a really good year. Josh had a really good year. Trayvon ended up having a really good year. Roy Robertson had an okay year. The rest, Lloyd was okay. Sometimes not, obviously. But overall, and Campbell sometimes not. He struggled this year. Maybe it's the injury. I don't know. I have no idea. But there are a lot of positives on this defense. Fifth in takeaways, getting off the field on third down. So there's enough if I'm a defensive coordinator, if I'm Leslie Frazier or whoever comes in here, I'm excited about what I have. I want more. And if I'm going to play a 3-4, then give me a nose that can play 3-4 nose. I'd rather see a 4-3 in my opinion. I think if you had Foley as your shaded nose and you had a Hamilton as your shaded 3, I'd like that better than how they play in the 3-4 because the 3-4 is very hard to work, especially stopping the run when you don't have a nose tackle. We talk about it all the time. So there is great opportunity. I would think these coordinators that are looking for work, if Doug reaches out to them, they're going to be like, yeah, man, I'm totally interested. I'm interested in working with a lot of these guys. Yeah, we got to add talent, no doubt. And I think they will. But I think it's a good thing for our team and our organization. That should be a somewhat sought-after kind of job to be the Jaguars defense coordinator in 2024 and beyond.
I agree, which is why I think I might disagree with you a little bit on the, kind of the blame game, if I guess. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it but in terms of with Caldwell and the players and who it falls on or whatever, I definitely agree with you that it is on the players. You're a professional. If you don't know what the hell you're doing, then you need to figure it out.
Yep.
I totally agree with that. My thing is, if this was like one or two guys that were sticking out like a sore thumb and they were a liability, then I'd be like, okay, it's on them.
Okay.
But I think there were just too many guys that were getting significant reps on defense that was happening to.
Well, wait a minute. Getting beat up front or like being out of position?
Both. Just not producing enough in general.
Okay, well.
And I think.
Well, the physicality, they ain't coming from the coach. Now, not knowing where you're at, miscues and missed assignments, yeah, the coach needs to make sure that happens. But at the end of the day, the player has got to make sure it happens, in my opinion. And, look, right or wrong, former players, at least the ones I talk to, they feel the same way. I ask them, like, who does it fall on? They're like, no, ultimately me. Eventually, you don't even need your position coach. I hate to say that, but you really don't. You know how to play the position. New coordinator comes in, different story. New tech, new terminology, new system. Of course, you got to relearn all that. Then you definitely need. But if you're in a system and you're 2-3 years in it, coach is only going to do so much other than hold you accountable and not let you get a big head. I think part of the problem, and it started early, press clippings, believe in the hype. They did. So did the media. So did everybody, including me. Wow, look at this team. I'm not doing that next year. All I heard was Devon Hamilton had an incredible camp. And then he didn't have an incredible year. I'm sick and tired of that. Calvin really going to have 2,000 yards, whatever. He had a good year. Also messed up. I think a lot of people are disappointed in the lack of production from Trevor. 19 touchdowns, whatever, was it 13, 14 picks? That's not good for fantasy. And most people care about fantasy football more than anything. Come on. How many people picked Trevor top 2 or 3 in their draft going into this past year? How many? I bet you a lot. And when quarterbacks get picked, I don't think they get picked right away. But when they get picked, you had the top 4 or 5 at least. You thought he was going to produce 4,000, 4,500 yards, 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 15 picks. No, it wasn't that kind of year. Can he get to that? I don't know. I want to see another year out of him. But nonetheless.
So let me ask you something real quick, because I think this is going to be not something that we really have to talk about much this offseason, but next offseason it'll become a big thing. Because I agree with you, and I think most people do, about we need to let Trevor play another year before we talk contract and stuff.
Yep.
But let's say this coming season, maybe it's a little bit better, but it's not like elite or anything like that.
Yep.
This time next year, what do you do with Trev?
If he has another year this year, I'm looking for another QB.
Really? Okay.
Yep. It's 4 years. I'm not saying I'm cutting him, but I'm probably going to look for my future replacement of Trevor Lawrence at that time. He's still got a 5th year, right? Option. I'd make him play that. You can always tag him for 2 more years if that's what you want to do. But listen, to sit here and say he doesn't have to improve, that's not, you got your head in the clouds or up his ass or something. I don't know, or up your own ass, whatever. But he's got to do a lot better. And again, it's not just him. It's collective. It's the linemen giving him a chance. It's the receivers being in the right spot, the timing being right. Just all of it. Yeah, it falls on him because he's the QB. And it's unfortunate that he was labeled generational. It was. He didn't do it. The media did it. Everybody else did it. He didn't sit there and be like, yeah, I'm generational. It wasn't coming from him. It wasn't fair to say. It's not fair they're saying that about the Caleb kid out of USC. Generational. Here we go. Why set them up? Well, does Trevor have generational physical tools? Arm-wise, sure. Everything else? No. His accuracy's not generational. I don't know if his awareness of everything, granted, it's only year 200 Doug and 3 total, but I don't think his awareness is out of this world. You know what I mean? I think his toughness is tough. It's kind of hard to call that.
I think his leadership, too.
What's that?
I think his leadership as well.
Leadership, he's got, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I listen, this is not, I don't like Trevor. I like Trevor, and I want this kid I want his next year to be a great year. I want the whole team to turn it around. I want to build around him, though. I'm not looking for his replacement. Now, if you're a team that only goes by their board, right? You put out your board, your draft board, and you measure it, right? And you give it value. And if it comes to the 4th round and there's a quarterback there and you stick to that rule, a lot of teams won't. They won't. Oh, we don't need him. We'll go somewhere else. Well, they sometimes make a mistake doing that. It's not always a hit either. But then maybe. But no, I'm not looking to replace Trevor Lawrence. But you got to get better. And I know, you know what? I think part of the people out there, and it's not personal, but part of the people out there, they so don't want the Jags to be wrong on Trevor. And I get it. I don't either, right? He was supposed to be our saving grace, and maybe he still is. The whole team needs to be.
Well, it sets the franchise back a decade plus if he does not end up being the guy. We've
seen it in the past. Look, he's the best prospect that we've drafted in the first round ever on this franchise history.
I'd say he's one, but Sully's two.
He's got the tools. I meant from a quarterback standpoint.
Yeah.
Quarterback standpoint.
I think overall.
I don't know.
In terms of how he was nationally looked at?
Yeah. Well, quarterback position, sure.
I think in general, this guy was Andrew Luck, John Elway, in terms of Peyton Manning, in terms of a prospect. Again,
and they were wrong.
Oh, I agree, but I'm saying when he was picked.
Wrong. Yeah. No, I know.
I think,
but I'm still behind him, and I still think you got to build around him. I do. I think he did get a little broken this year. I think he did get rattled a little bit. He took a lot of hits, not just sacks. I do think some of the play calling wasn't, to his favor. I want to see more Trevor ball. When he plays Trevor ball, we talk, don't we, every week? What is it? Street ball, man. Like, go out there, make a play. I don't care if it's with your legs, your arm, whatever. Make a play. Get back into that. He's got a lot of tools, man, so he's just got to hone it in, And then hopefully that happens, and we ride with him forever till he's ready to call it a day.
I think something that you just said, I totally agree with in terms of the world we live in terms of debates with stuff, makes you pick a side on something.
Yeah.
So like if you look at social media and how people kind of absorb and have their opinion on Trevor right now.
Yep.
Everyone, and you just said what I agree with. Everyone keeps wanting to basically act like it's all his fault or none of it's his fault.
Yeah.
And both can be true. Saying that the pieces around him need to be better and need to produce better and need to help him out more doesn't change the fact that he also needs to get better.
Yeah.
Saying that doesn't mean that I'm saying, but Trevor's perfect. He never makes any mistakes.
No. We know that's not true.
And then also the opposite of that, saying that Trevor needs to step up his game and make less mistakes and be more productive and be more efficient of a QB.
Yep.
And he needs to be better overall.
Yeah.
That doesn't excuse everybody else.
Yeah.
That doesn't excuse the other 10 guys on the field with him.
No, definitely not.
That still doesn't change the fact that the interior of the offensive line was a disaster.
Yeah, they were
all
terrible.
Season. They were a disaster.
I agree.
And
the running game was too.
Yes. And
the running game did nothing for you.
And with the receiving core, we were talking about this receiving core at the beginning of the year like it was going to be arguably the best in the NFL.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he's a great player. I love having him here. I hope he's here for a long time, and Christian Kirk. But how come when Christian Kirk leaves the offense, they can't even run the right routes?
Right.
That's insane.
I agree.
Parker, because listen, it would have been a little bit different, and I would have been a little bit more accepting to it if Christian Kirk went down in like week 2.
Yeah.
Okay, and all of a sudden, Elijah Cooks, who we liked in the preseason, Parker Wash, all of a sudden you had to throw these guys in, and they hadn't gotten a lot of reps with the ones. So they were struggling, first couple weeks, got to play through some growing pains, whatever. Yep. Dude, it was week 13 that Christian Kirk gets hurt?
Yeah. No, and then everything went
there's
south.
no excuse, man. I know that you're
Parker was drafted for that role. That's his job.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, again, hindsight's 20/20, but just think about if 50% of the balls were caught and more caught, 50% more, and 50% better O-line play, we wouldn't be having these conversations, okay? Again, the thing that Trevor needs to get better for me is the routine throws. He'll make the hard ones, and then he'll miss the routine, and he's got to get better at that. The crossing route's got to be in the right spot. The out look, he was lucky against Tennessee. He threw a couple of those out patterns inside. You cannot throw it inside. Any decent corner is going to read that and jump it and take that thing to the house. So there are ball placement on every throw. The quick slants. Sometimes they're perfect. Sometimes they're on the back hip. Got to be more consistent. The 7 route, throwing it high and outside. Sometimes, beautiful throws. The throw down to Zay. in Baltimore before the half. It was a perfect throw, But the awareness has got to be better, situational, and everything around it. So, again, he's our guy. He needs another year. Build around him. Get this defensive coordinator that's going to hold everybody accountable, that'll utilize this personnel in the way they have to be utilized. There are a lot of positives on this football team. I think the biggest negative, and I do put it on the head coach, you guys came in thinking you were the shit. You did. You thought you had arrived. You thought because of last year and all the hype, national media's talking about you, you're the favorite. You eventually get to the number 1 seed. I think you forgot what it took you to get there. I do. It happens. It's human nature. But it's the job of the head coach to not let that happen, to not believe in press clippings, to not need to get away after week 4, to not being intimidated by San Francisco, by not showing up, against the Browns on defense or against the Bengals on defense, leaving quarterbacks wide open. A lot of that's attitude. And by the way, if the blitz is called and you don't win the one-on-one, who are you blaming? I blame the player for not winning the one-on-one. You may not. I do. So for me, it's more attitude. For me, it's more forget this crap about, it wasn't them, it was us. Look at every team shoot themselves in the foot, but good teams respond and recover, and it doesn't cost them games time after time again. So, you know what they need? They need an attitude adjustment, Grammage. That's what they need. A little humble pie. Hopefully, if I was Doug, I'd be like, listen, you all better watch the playoffs and feel that sting. Feel how bad it hurts, because it does. And I said it on Tuesday, okay? I said it on Tuesday as a former player that hangs around with a lot of former players from time to time. The big stars, they come in, you recognize them. You know who's next in line? The Super Bowl winners. The ones with rings. They trump everybody else in the room because they played in the Super Bowl, or won a Super Bowl. That trumps everything other than a Hall of Fame and superstar status. The majority of those players in that locker room aren't superstars. Neither was I. You're a grunt, and every team needs a good section of grunts that all they give a shit about is playing football and doing everything possible to make sure that they're on top of their job. But those grunts, when they walk in with rings, they trump every other grunt that's ever played the game that doesn't have a ring, in my opinion. That should be your focus. Get the ring and set yourself up for eternity. Nobody remembers the backups. Nobody remembers, who lost in the 1997 AFC Championship game? We do, because it was us. Nobody else does. They could give two shits what has happened. So, just win, baby. Just win. All right, that's going to do it. Friday, got to get ready for the gig, baby. Come on out. If you're in the area, you like live music, 70s, 80s, 90s, rock and roll, we get after it. I sweat like a pig, but I switch shirts after every set, so it's okay.
That's the clip.
What?
No context.
That's it.
I'm not going to put a caption. I'm just gonna cut. I sweat like a pig. Post it.
That's it. I do. I give it my all. We all do, man. We love playing for the crowd. So it's going to be out at Iggy's Bar and Grill out on the patio. We're 13 meets Racetrack Road. We start at 7. We get done about 11. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks, Grammage. Appreciate you setting us up. You'll see this show on our on 1010XL's YouTube channel and little clips all throughout social media. Thanks for all the support. Thanks to Team Tommy Mac. I love all you guys. Hey, man, I got you covered, right? Get thrown in jail, I got you a bail bondsman. Chris Rosero's bail bonds. You need help with traffic law? I've got that with the Truck Accident Law Firm. Carbon Man Flooring, you know what that is. All the best at the lowest prices. Azar Sausage, third generation homegrown and down home. They grow them here and they process it right here. Solomon Ventures, of course. All wholesale prices, less than, for great household goods and beyond, outdoors as well. Clothing, food, they have it all. Let's see. We've got Outback Marine Construction. Hey, man, I know it's getting a little, it's chilly right now. It's going to start getting nicer. You want to fix that dock up, get a new lift, fix a lift, what have you. You can always count on Outback Marine Construction. Graffiti Burger Bar. Let me tell you something. I was in there last night again. We ate after the show. The food's phenomenal. New ownership, new direction. They're cleaning it. It's great. Give it a shot. Give it another shot if you've already tried it and it didn't happen. But please do. That would be fantastic. Salt Air Inn and Suites, thank you. Great spot out on the beach. And Adaptive Jacks for being my marketing and branding partner for here with Team Tommy Mac. Don't forget J-Dog Junk Removal. By the way, they're in the dumpster business. So if you're a contractor out there and or a home builder and you're looking for a quality company to deliver those bins for you, they've got 12-yarders ready to go. Ready for any kind of job out there. Make sure you send me a message. I'll get you connected. All right. Thanks to everybody out there. Peace and love. Till next time. Stay safe. Be cool. We'll see you right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mac.